Hello and welcome to another episode of Ashley Haden's Political Breakdown, a show that doesn't get edited, so you can see me turn it on and walk here. Very, very smooth. It's a show about the week's news. We talk about it, we see if there's something that we can do to solve it. It's pointless, self-indulgent, but I enjoy it, so that's kind of the point. So this week my guests are...
Matt Price
and...
Gary Shaw.
Mike.
Oh, Gary Shaw.
I said to you just before we start, I don't need to teach us how to use a mic, and then straight away, fucking hell. Right, who's got a news story that we can start off on then?
Well, okay, I've said to you many times, actually, well, a few times now, that I'm the guy who doesn't offer opinions on things. So the reason I'm here, as I said to Gary as well, is I kind of want to leave with an opinion. You know, like a vehemently held, passionate opinion, if I can. It probably won't. That's a lot to ask for in an hour, isn't it? So my news item this week, I don't know if this is what you're expecting. I don't know. Justin Bieber.
No, fuck me sideways.
I knew as soon as I said it. I knew that I'd get that reaction. And there's part of me that wanted to do that because you know, if the shoe was on the other foot and you had the opportunity to elicit such a response from me, you would do the same thing. You know there is part of you that sees a funny time.
Tell me about the Justin Bieber fucking story.
Justin Bieber.
Now about the sensible ones I've brought along. I feel like I've let you guys down.
Not at all. Not in the side. Justin Bieber is my hero. I've looked up to him for many. No, I haven't. He went on social media and on Twitter and he asked Tom Cruise if he would like to get into the octagon with him and have a cage fight. Now, I think that's impressive. He then backed down, but Conor McGregor in the meantime, you know, the guy who earned $100 million fighting against Floyd Mayweather, he said, and I quote, "Let's see, Tom, if you've got the sprouts to do it like you do in the film." This is how people actually communicate. I didn't realise you could refer to your testicles as sprouts. And that's my news item. It's ridiculous. But he backed down, and then he said, "Oh no, I was only joking. Tom's got man strength. He's a parent." And I'm thinking, well, if you're a parent, surely you're going to be too knackered to get in the octagon.
Well, thanks for bringing the story.
No, you're very welcome.
We're not going to be discussing it.
Okay, well, but the thing is, you're now censoring my freedom of speech. That's not fair, Ashley Haden. I really like you and I admire you, and I'm only here because I've seen you perform, and I thought, God, he's not only really good, but he has opinions that are genuinely funny. And if someone walks out on stage, and held a gun to your head, you go, "No, mate, up yours. I'm going to continue doing this, but whether you like it or not."
I know, but if I walked on stage and I was writing about Justin Bieber, I'd give up comedy.
Fair enough. Do you know what? I feel like I've come along to grow today, with my how can I put it, ideological dad, as it were, my foster parents, and he's essentially told me, right, go to your room. We're never discussing Bieber again.
We're never discussing Bieber again, but I mean, I've got a lot of time for you. I think you're a very funny man.
Well, thanks very much.
It's nice of you to come down, but we're not starting on fucking Justin Bieber. Just not. That's why it's called Political Breakdown, not Pointless Breakdown.
Yeah, but it's not pointless though, because social media's taken over the world. The Illuminati are trying to condition us.
I mean, I agree that social media is taking over the world. Okay. It's one of the only reasons, arguably, that Justin Bieber is anywhere.
Yes.
Is because of YouTube, and take away the fact that YouTube is basically a place for paedophiles and Nazis. I would say that what they did to Justin Bieber, making him famous, is the worst thing they've ever done. But it's such a non-story because what that story basically is some knobhead tweeted something to another knobhead and then said, "Actually, I was joking."
Absolutely.
That's it.
That is it.
That is it. Like a professional thug, which is all fighters are. I mean, I respect boxers and everything else for what they do, but let's be honest, they're thugs. That's all. That's what they're there. They're there to punch each other in the head. It's if they were doing it in the streets, they would be thugs. The fact they get paid a lot of money for it, and there's a ref, it's like, these are high class people. They're not. They're absolutely
The
not.
promoters make a lot more money though.
Oh yes. I mean, they're the pimps
But
of it.
can I ask you before? I know we're going to move on now, but before we do, can I ask you? Is there not part of you that now wants to refer to your testicles as sprouts from now on?
No. I'm a big fan of Brussels sprouts.
Okay.
So it's
Me too.
yeah. A lot of people that don't like them very much, but I do like them. I do like a nice sprout.
I mean, wouldn't it be like the opposite of calling a burger, like a vegetarian burger, like a beef burger, if you call your sprouts, if you call your bollocks sprouts, because you're meat and veg. It's a very bad. See, this is the problem. You brought up something and it's broken me on the inside already.
But do you know
I'll
what's
be honest with you.
Do you know what's
I'm
going to
not
happen?
thinking straight. The annoyance is driving
I'm so
high
sorry.
in me at the moment.
This is wonderful, like circuit gossip, though, isn't it? Because we get on. You know that we actually get on.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to look into the camera now because I know that annoys you as well. But I would look into the camera if I thought I could get away with it now and explain how well we get on. And part of me knows that this could end up as circuit gossip. Matt Price ended Ashley Haden's
sanity. It's more the sanity I'm worried about than the podcast. No one watches this fucking shit anyway.
Well, I watch
Right.
So I've made an introduction without the mic.
Yes.
You brought up Justin
Justin
Bieber.
Bieber. I mean,
I think we both had our little indiscretion. I think we
It's a
should move
wonderful
on.
start. So Gary, do you have a news story?
I've got stuff. Sorry, it's going to be all politics. So I got about Chaka Umana joins the Lib Dems after quitting Change UK.
Yes.
So I've read this.
They're not Change UK anymore.
Well, that's it. Well,
They're the Independent Group for Change because they've had to change their
name from Change
again.
Wow, why?
Because of a court case with Change.org, like the protest group. Are they a protest group? Would you say? Change.org do a lot
Isn't
of
that one of those petitions and
yeah.
things?
Yeah, the activist group.
So they call themselves Change. They've had to change their name from Change because it's clashing with Change. They never got any votes anyway, and now he's left.
Yeah, six MPs left them.
Yeah.
Probably feeling shortchanged.
Hey, that's why I got you on.
Now I nearly looked into the camera then as well, just to wink. I can't help it. I can't do it. I feel like the Germans in Raiders of the Lost Ark with the camera now. Just face is going to start melting, and Justin Bieber's going to walk in. So.
What do we think? Is it?
Well, the
do
reason
we care if he's gone.
The reason I thought it was an interesting story was the fact that how do we now view politicians like that? Because to me, I mean, and he's admitting that he was wrong. So do we admire him because he admits he's wrong, which is something that most politicians don't do, or do we say to him, "Make your fucking mind up"? Well, he's gone from left to whatever. The Change whether they meant to be a centrist party. He's now then joined the Lib Dems, who is previously slated for when they were in coalition with the Tories for all the austerity. So now he's now joined the party that was previously having a go at.
Yeah.
So do we appreciate that? Do we think he's done something good? Do we think he's done something bad?
I think at the very minimum, you can say that he's not tribal. I mean, what worries me is when you hear politicians go, I would not leave Labour or Tory for anything. Are you sure? For anything, absolutely any. I mean, they've already shown because they're not leaving because of all of the anti-Semitism in one party, the Islamophobia in the other party, the fact they're all incompetent as shit. But Chaka Uma, he went from Labour to the independent group to Change. To now he's left, and that's the Independent Group for Change. I mean, the fact that it was Change and it was short, and you could shorten it to CUCK was
nice,
beautiful. But now he's gone over to the Lib Dems. I don't think you can continue holding the Lib Dems to the austerity measures. Same reason I don't think you can hold Labour to the war. You can't. It's so long ago now. The people weren't there. A lot of the people from the Lib Dems lost. They lost their positions. They're not there anymore. You know, personally, I wouldn't vote for the Lib Dems in a general election. I mean, because I don't actually agree with a lot of their policies anyway. But not because of, I'm not so blinded that I wouldn't vote for them just because of austerity. I think that's a fucking weak-willed pissing idea, especially when you consider that they're the ones standing against Brexit, and Brexit's going to make austerity look like a fucking good idea. You know, I mean, austerity is going to look like fucking someone allowed you to use lube.
But it does seem to me we also live in an age where people's opinions seem to be polarised, isn't it? It's like, it's not as if that's wrong, that's right, and there's all this stuff happening in between. People seem to ignore the stuff happening in between. And I guess I'm not going to go one of those, but Hitler also did some good things, let's not get silly. But you know what I mean, with a lot of modern politicians, a lot of the parties, where people go, yeah, like, because it did this, that's it, I hate them forever, I will never vote for them.
Well, everyone's got one thing, and this is the issue. We pick and choose what that one thing is. Blair is always war criminal, war criminal, war criminal. The facts are that it's a lot more grey. The war was awful. PFI was fucking terrible that they brought in, but they also halved homelessness. They did a lot of good things for the young. They did well for the economy for most part until the fucking explosion of the financial crash that they had a lot to do with taking away the regulations. They brought in the Human Rights Act. I mean, they did a lot of socialist policies that, if Corbyn brought them out today, everyone would be going, oh, they're fucking amazing. But you also got the Tories have done tons and tons wrong. I can't think of anything right that they've done, though. There's a difference. Can you think of anything right that they've... No. I mean, it's stuck.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything good that the Tories have done?
I just don't believe any of them. I think they're all...
I think you're valid, mate. I think you're valid.
I know that's a horrible thing to say, but well, not horrible,
No,
maybe
it's not
a shallow
horrible
thing to say, but I just believe, from my perspective, of somebody who doesn't really know about politics, hence why I'm talking about Justin Bieber, but I think that they are self-serving. I think that's it. You've got 5 years, maybe 10 years, in which to make your name in history. And like Theresa May, someone was saying, "Oh, she's trying to last longer than the last leader."
Yeah, she was trying to get ahead of Gordon Brown.
Is that honestly how people think? Is that what politicians think? Oh well, if I'm terrible at something, but at least I'm not last. You know, so I'm second best, and that's acceptable. Is that how she wants to? And the thing, what strikes me is, obviously I don't know the woman, but this is real people's lives we're talking about.
Yes,
aren't we?
yeah.
And being second best, at best, is enough to make her name in the history books. I think that's terrible.
I mean, her name is going to be in the history books anyway for being one of the worst PMs this decade.
And I have no sympathy.
You can't have sympathy for Theresa May. It's ridiculous. She's the one who chose it all.
Yeah.
She put in her red lines. No one else did.
Yeah.
She's the one who said, right, freedom of movement has to do it, and everything else. We could have had the deal that everyone wanted, what everyone was talking about, what Brexiteers were talking about before they all went fucking nutter and forgot what they were saying fucking 3 years ago, where we're going to have deals with everything, we're still going to keep single market, we're still going to keep the customs union, we're still going to fucking seemingly do everything apart from just not be in Europe. When they were going on about all of that, now they're going, well, no, it has to be a hard Brexit. It has to be a no deal. We have to go as a no deal because that's what people voted for. And people didn't vote for that. Of course no one voted for that because it wasn't anywhere to be said. No one said that. No one. The only people who said it was that we're going to go for a no deal is the people who are Remainers, and they were called Project Fear. And that's it. That's what you do. You tell people that you're going to scare them and everything else, and you push fucking hate as you go along. Just fucking what.
I love the comment that Mark Steele made on the Bugle recently when he was on there talking about Theresa May. He said, you can imagine her in a very near future being in a pub quiz and being asked to name the prime ministers of the last 20 years and forgetting to mention herself.
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
The issue is that she's out of the three Tories. that we're going to have, which is probably going to be Boris Johnson, looking at this point.
How scary is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, but she's going to go down as the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
She's better than David Cameron, because David Cameron was what had done all of this, you know? I mean, the best thing David Cameron ever done was fuck a pig.
Yeah.
That is his highlight. His absolute highlight.
Can I ask you about Boris Johnson? I mean,
Yeah.
do you not think that so I almost have a begrudging, I don't know if the word is admiration, I don't quite mean that, but he set up this public persona as being bumbling Boris, and now he could be potentially one of the most influential human beings on the planet. How do you manage to dupe the general public into such a thing? How did that happen?
It is Britain looking at America and looking at Trump and going, hold my pint. It's like, it will be our Trump.
Yeah.
It's a. Well, I haven't said that. No, to be honest, I think with Boris, I think it's a lot more calculated. I think Trump, it's just vanity, and he's a massive narcissist. So he just thinks he's wonderful. Boris, I get the impression it's far more calculated. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think we as a nation, and Britain has always been like it, we look at aspiration as a big thing. And so we look at someone like Boris, who went to Eton, who went to Oxford or Cambridge, I can't remember which one, and who's considered to be the upper classes. And we look at him and we go, this is someone who we should listen to, because we've always been brought up with the idea that if you speak like you're fucking got hit over the head with a thesaurus, then you're obviously intelligent. Where he's not an intelligent man. People think he's cold, calculated. Everyone says he's intelligent. No, the man doesn't comprehend history. The same with Jacob Rees-Mogg. The amount of mistakes that they made. Boris Johnson has been sacked from all of his jobs for lying. He's been found out to be lying. This is someone who cheats on his own wife, who's gone to court to hide the fact that his kids from public that aren't his legitimate kids. And we think he's not going to fucking cheat on us.
Yeah.
The final thing that Boris Johnson is going to do before he leaves office is wipe the smeg from his dick on the fucking nation. That's it. And we are just going to be left licking it up, going, cheesy, I think we're going to blame the EU for this as well. Fucking disgusting. Absolute tosspot. Pus-filled duvet cover the man is.
It is one of those things where you think, what does he have to do before people go, oh, hold on a second, he's an arsehole. What does he actually have to do?
This is something that there is a class element to that, because if he was working class and said the majority of things that he had said, it would be done.
Yeah.
As it is, it would be. You'd have the fucking right-wing comics going along calling about no platforming or cancelling or whatever the fuck people do now.
Yeah.
But because it's Boris and because he's fucking upper class, he can say what he likes and he gets away with it. If he sounded like fucking you or me or him, it wouldn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
It's the problem with it all. Right, let's go on to some more happy stories, shall we? It's 2 years on from Grenfell. Happy anniversary. And it said that some 328 buildings still have aluminium composite material, or ACM, cladding. So that's thousands of people still living in buildings with the same stuff that did the Grenfell. 221 buildings of them are yet to see any removal beginning. So we've still got, so it's still hundreds, thousands upon thousands of people, hundreds of buildings, still with the same cladding in that cost 72 people's lives just 2 years ago. How would we, I mean, is it just as simple as just chuck money and get it done?
Yeah, but it seems to me it's another one of those things where the excuse will be about the magic money tree, we can't afford it. Of course, if the building didn't house, poor people, if it housed bankers, the money would arrive.
Oh, of course it would.
I mean, you could argue that if it housed bankers, they would pay for it themselves because they had the fucking money to.
Well, and then claim on expenses.
Yeah, exactly. At least, I mean, they would have claimed it against tax. I mean, we're paying got millions of pounds to redo Buckingham Palace, paying billions of pounds to do the House of Parliament, but seemingly we haven't got round to fixing something that not only is illegal but incredibly dangerous.
But then we live in a world where money is more important than people, or more important than lives.
Yeah.
I mean, that annoyed me when Notre Dame went on fire, and they raised so much money, and everyone went fucking crazy, going, well, "Where's the money for Grenfell?" Going, well, I mean, we can carry on setting fire to poor people and see if rich people give a fuck.
Yeah.
But I think we'll run out of poor people.
Well, the thing is, there was a fair amount of money that was raised for Grenfell, but
it went on. Yeah, that went on the people, didn't it?
Yeah.
Which is right. They should go after people. It's not charities' job to build new housing for people. It's the government's job, and that is arguably the biggest problem: the fact that we do not build houses. But I mean, building houses is one thing. Building affordable houses, that's the main issue.
Yeah.
But I mean, what would you consider affordable housing?
Well, where? What, London?
Yeah. Yeah, let's say London. Because at the moment, affordable housing is something like 85% of the cost of the average household.
Which is still unaffordable. The average house is something like $250,000, isn't it? And then you got people where their wages. I mean, some people's wages are stagnated. Others, people are actually earning less money now. There's plenty of companies now that have said, "Oh, because of austerity, we've got to cut wages." So some people are worse off than they were 10 years ago. Even if you're on the same money, you're worse off than you were 10 years ago, because it's not as if the supermarkets go, "We know you're struggling, so we won't put the prices up this year."
Well, no one considers inflation.
No.
So, when you two were growing up, what part of the property bubble were you involved in? Because I know it's been going up consistently for like around 30, 40 years anyway. I know when I was younger it was like 25 years consistent growth, where mortgages got to a point, like, I mean, you listen to old people, I bought my house for $7,000.
They normally, I think the average is something like they double in price over about an 8-9 year period. You'll then have like it will drop down a little bit, but then it doesn't go back to where it was before,
No.
and then it will go up again.
Yeah. We've always rented.
Yeah?
Yeah. 5 generations lived in our house in Cornwall. My
Same house?
My great grandma was conned by some lord down there, and she couldn't read or write. She signed a cross on a piece of paper, and it's meant that we've had a protected tenancy. And my dad is the 5th generation to live in the house, but he found a loophole in the law, and he's the last person to be able to live there on a protected tenancy. So the housing bubble hasn't really applied to us, and that's not,
No, take that as a fucking win, mate.
And I, live in London, and me and the missus are right. We're happy where we live. We live in Wimbledon, so it's hard to can't complain.
Yeah.
But where we are, just to give you an idea, it's X amount of money. It will be several £100s more if we just move one street down. So it's just insanity, isn't it? Really, it's. I would never consider that I'd be able to buy a house. Good luck to anybody you can. Good luck if you've inherited one. How you solve the housing problem?
I love that when you got MPs going, what young people should do to be able to afford a house is get the inheritance from their grandparents.
Wow.
I mean, my grandparent wasn't a fucking pirate.
No,
Where the fuck are they getting this pissing money from? It's ridiculous.
My grandmother died 10 years ago. She was 102. She lived in a council place all her life.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it goes once again into the our politicians having no conception of the real world.
No.
Absolutely.
It's like that thing with celebrities and footballers, and they say, how much does a pint of milk cost? Now, admittedly, I don't know what a pint of milk because I don't drink it. But it's one of those things where the politicians are even less in touch than the celebrities and the
I think that's such a fucking stupid question to ask.
Oh, it is a stupid question.
How much is a price? Fuck off, mate.
Yeah, but it is a stupid question. But you know what I mean, where they answer these people. They say they earn so much money that they're out of touch with the common person. But the MPs should be in touch because it's their job to be. And yet, as you say, they are totally out of touch with a lot of working people because they don't understand it and they don't care. They're career politicians. They've gone in there to eat from the trough as long as they can and get set up for when they leave. They don't. It's not about going in there and looking after people and doing a good job, which is what their job should be.
They care in year 4 to 5.
Oh yeah, because beyond that, they're not going to get the credit for it.
Yeah, first 3 years, and that's why you always see. It's always fascinating if you have a look at the budget just before an election.
Yeah.
The budget is always, look at everything we're giving away, like cut for fucking years, and then going, and here's some money for you, aren't we great? And then all the papers will go, well, they've given you a windfall here, and everyone will forget about the fucking first 4 years, look at the 5th year and going, actually, you know, they weren't too bad. You know, I've got a little bit more money extra in my pocket. They're going, yeah, but you've got less than you did have 4 years ago.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. It's someone coming to your house, grabbing you by the throat, repeatedly punching you in the face for an hour, and at the end of it goes, here's a £5, I'm not a nice bloke.
Yeah. Exactly. You know,
and where do they go in the end, the career politicians? So, for example, with Theresa May, I mean, she's there filling up, I love this country, and she's crying and all that. She's not going to work in W.H. Smith's.
Look how wealthy Philip, her husband, is. I mean, he's one of the, he's a major shareholder of G4, isn't he? So, I'm...
G4S.
Yeah, G4S, yes.
What a terrible, terrible company.
Oh, yeah. It's well, when you see these like dystopian future films where you've got like military police roaming the streets, that's G4S, isn't it? Really, you know.
Yeah, just without the fucking competence.
Yeah.
Christ.
But like, no, I think with a lot of them they leave by then. A lot of the corporations that they've done favours for over the years will put them on the board. Now we all know with anyone that sits on the board, that's not exactly working, is it? You turn up once a year for the AGM. They give you a bit of a feed, a bit of a drink. You might play golf. Well, okay, I don't actually play golf, but I mean, you play golf a couple of times a year, and that's it. Here's £100,000. Thank you very much, and they're probably on 10 of those boards.
Well,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, George Osborne. I mean, he got. He single-handedly lowered unemployment because he took about 98 jobs. It was quite impressive. At one point, he had 6 jobs while he was still an MP. He had 6 jobs. He was an MP. He got 650k a year from BlackRock for as a consultant. I think it was for working a couple of days a month. He was the editor of the Evening Standard, and he had another 3 that I can't remember. It was quite impressive because with politicians, there's a committee called I think it's ACOBA. ACOBA, and that job, the job of a COBA, is to have a look at the job an MP is getting next, because MPs are allowed second jobs, and even if they lose as an MP, they can still get another job. And it's the job of a COBA to say whether or not you can actually take this job, because as Gary pointed out. You have lobby groups, you help people get contracts, you help them get contracts, they give you a little cheeky little position, you know, and that is of course massively against the law, because you can't be using being an MP to help. But a COBA is fucking useless. Boris Johnson is pissed over, because you're meant to, as an MP, before you take a job, you're meant to tell them, and then they're meant to look over it, and they say yes or no, and then you can take the job. People like Boris Johnson have in the past, including with like the Telegraph, he gets paid 200 grand a year plus to do his Telegraph column. He didn't tell a COBA, he just took it, and because you're not going to take a new job after 6 months.
Johnson's one of those people also where they do things like, you know, they buy properties and forget. Oh yeah, I should have.
Yeah, Jeremy Hunt did that.
Yeah, they'll do it. It's like, oh yeah, I completely forgot.
Yeah.
No, would we get away with that excuse? No. It's like, I went shopping at Tesco's and I walked straight out and didn't pay because I forgot. Oh, that's okay, Mr. Shaw. Well, give us the money now and we'll let you go. No, I'll be taken to the police station.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that with every fucking MP that's seemingly they're all on drugs now?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they must get together every now and again and go, how can we take the piss even more?
Well, especially considering that a lot of them have constantly voted to not relax the drug laws. So I assume they're obviously getting a buzz doing it in more ways than one.
Yeah, but then my local MP, Tory MP, Robert Halfon, voted in favour of cuts to the disabled, and he's disabled. So when they do these things, it's not, oh, well, hold on a second. Yeah, no, it's never about, it's always what suits them. It's always like, yeah, oh, okay, well, if I vote in favour of these cuts, then the rest of the party will like me, and obviously the disabled benefits won't affect him anyway, because he's an MP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the one that would claim on expenses to stay in London at an expensive members club, even though Harlow, where I live, is a car ride. He could get a cab there. You know, if he's in a late session at the house, he can get a cab back. But he was staying in London, and claimed all the expenses. And it turned out the reason he was staying in London is because he was shagging his mistress.
I mean,
Wow.
I can't really understand how they're all so able to cheat. Like, I get it with, like, even with, like, a comedian, with a rock star, with a footballer. I understand why you would be able to have the opportunity to cheat. You know, if you're famous, you've got all of these fans watching you performing, doing all of this. You've got the money, yeah. I do not understand how a chat-up line could work going, hi, I'm Shadow Chancellor for Housing. Like, who's getting fucking aroused by that? Who's there I'm MP without purview. Like, who's horny on that?
But there's power though, isn't there? And people like power and status.
Yeah. And look at them, none of them are lookers, are they? You
No,
know?
they don't have to be though, do they?
I mean, good God, John Prescott, like a number of times cheated. Boris Johnson manages to cheat. They're going, look at you. He looks like you should squeeze him because he's a spot. He's a fucking spot.
If Spitting Image was around today, they wouldn't need to make one from Boris because he looks like he's already been made by Spitting Image.
Like, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, I'm not even sure what news story that was.
That was more fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That was more.
yeah. This is actually quite interesting. MPs have called for a ban on non-disclosure agreements used by employees to silence allegations of unlawful discrimination and harassment. Now, what are our views on non-disclosure agreements?
Is that a ban on all non-disclosure agreements or just that particular?
Well, they want laws to be a bit clearer, so that, because it's understandable in non-disclosure forms being against like letting out secrets, understandable,
Yeah.
but them being used to stop serious allegations, stop whistleblowing, things like this. That you become a lot more of a grey area, and so like there was dozens of academics who went to the BBC to tell them that they were forced out of their jobs because they complained about harassment, and then were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements afterwards. They couldn't talk about it.
Someone told me, and it might be going, I don't want to go off topic completely, but that in London especially, that a lot of companies say an employee taking you to them to a tribunal is just a matter of course. It's almost like into their budget. Is that true? That that's a thing that's going to happen, and that they just budget for the fact that we'll have to pay people off. And I'm wondering, is it not going to be the same with this non-disclosure
I
agreement?
suppose it depends on what kind of industry we're talking, really, doesn't it?
I mean,
your
the
average
city,
worker.
certainly.
Yeah.
Absolutely, certainly. But that's also got, you've got an awful lot of fucking dodgy men who see women as nothing more than fleshy Tupperware to hold their seed for the winter. But in terms of one of the things that MPs are asking for is a doubling of the time limit for sexual harassment tribunals. Because it's at the moment it's 3 months.
Right.
And so they're looking to double it to 6 months. Now, there is grey areas, of course, but do we think that non-disclosure agreements are bad altogether, or are there
Well, whose interest does it serve?
But that's a very good question. And also, if we take that to the next thing of why do the MPs find that so important?
Yeah.
Now, if it's like a CEO or a senior member of a big company, a financial institution, and as Ash says, thank you, they look at especially female members of staff in a sort of belittling way, and it's that old boys network of, well, I was only having a bit of fun kind of thing. Well, clearly the lady didn't think so, mate.
Why can't you just take a joke?
Yeah,
but also,
but why do the MPs think that's so important?
But also, if they double the amount of time, is that not an admission of guilt or an admission of there's a...
Well, no, this is MPs asking for there to be a double amount of time, because it can be that you've got a 3-month time limit and someone doesn't come forward in time.
Oh, really? Is that what they're saying? I see. I automatically thought, well, if it goes from 3 to 6 months, that's time in which to bully someone out of changing their minds.
Oh, yeah, but once it gets to a tribunal, you make a valid point, because it can always be there, but it also allows for the victim, and this is one of the things that they want to do about non-disclosures, is to make sure that non-disclosures cannot stop people coming forward with valuable information that can help a victim.
Okay.
Because if you've got a worry that, like you see sexual harassment happening, something like this, and you can't go forward because you've signed a non-disclosure agreement about anything that goes on in the office, and you worry that if you come forward you're going to lose your job, then it's interesting, because I understand, like, if you've got secrets for a company, you deal in RDA or something like this. R&D, not RDA, you fucking moron. Fucking too many acronyms in this world. This is the problem. Everything's a fucking acronym now. WTF, am I right? Cunt. Fucking moron.
We're all right. We're okay.
Absolute fucking
It's unedited,
moron.
but we're fine.
It's okay. We've all had one now.
Yeah.
So disappointed with myself. So if you're doing it, if you're doing that and you're creating new things and you don't want everyone to see your patents and everything else, and someone leaves, you do a non-disclosure.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Something like, and that's perfectly reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're a company and you're producing something and you want it, of course it makes sense that you're going to say, well, look, we need a legal means of stopping someone from telling another company about it potentially, but something like sexual harassment, no, you can't do that.
That's
you
totally
can't do
different.
That's awful.
Yeah.
No, I agree, but then it also goes into super injunctions, doesn't it? These fun things that celebrities use to not mention the fact that they're fucking diddling the nanny. Which is it. I mean, a super injunction I understand a super injunction with, say, a paedophile case where you want to keep the child's name out of it.
Yeah.
Get that? But if it's fucking Ryan Giggs banging his brother's missus, should we allow our laws and our courts to be used for the wealthy?
Well, because that's what it boils down to, isn't it? Because, I mean, when was the last time that someone that was poor, working class, or just on a normal wage took out a super injunction? I should imagine that kind of thing is quite expensive to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
The more you give a lawyer to do, or any kind of a legal institution, the more it's going to cost you. So,
but then the question comes: if you were to say, right, we get rid of this because the wealthy are using it all the time, are you discriminating? And I know, you're discriminating against the rich, boo-hoo, but that is still discrimination. Even though it's against rich people, that is still creating an unfair society. And I understand the irony of it. I get the irony of it. Do not worry about that. But is that still a form of discrimination? And can we claim that we want an equal society if we are treating if we're taking away rights from the wealthy just because they're wealthy?
but is it unfair discrimination? Is it unfair to them that we say no, you can't do that, or is it, are we basically saying, because you're wealthy, we don't want you to do that, or are we saying because you're wealthy, you think you can be a dick and get away with it?
Thoughts?
I don't know.
Nice.
It is the honest thought. Sorry, mate. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anyone who's had a super injunction. It doesn't really apply to me in my world, to be honest with you, and that's it. And that's selfish, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, there is a level of selfishness to it, but I understand it. It's not something that necessarily affects a lot of people, but it just does work in our laws about whether or not.
When you get on live at the Apollo and the Express have got pictures of you doing cocaine off a hooker's tits backstage, then you've only got yourself to blame.
Yeah, but by the time I get on live at the Apollo, I'll be running out of ideas anyway. So I'm going to need something to do a show about. You know what I mean?
Perfect answer.
Yeah.
Perfect answer. I can't argue with that.
News story, Gary, or Matt. Have we got another news story?
Spice Girls.
Let's do Matt.
The Spice Girls are back. No, they're not.
Oh,
no, do you know what I really would like? I'm interested in as well.
Yep.
Because, is obviously Joe Brand. Now, is that allowed? Or
Yes.
Is that
No,
allowed?
that's an interesting point.
Well, because I'll tell you why I find it interesting. Because I like her.
Yes.
And she really earned being a comic.
Yes.
You know, as we know. So, and she's great, and everyone I know speaks well of her who actually knows her. But then she makes a comment about, I wouldn't throw a milkshake, I would throw battery acid at
Yeah, but it wasn't
someone.
a comment, it was a gag, and from what I've seen, the whole thing was taken out of context.
Yeah,
They just took that one line of, isn't it disgusting that this comedian, this entertainer, this someone that we shouldn't have an opinion, that someone that's just there to entertain us has said something just so disgraceful. You go, no, it's a gag. And I did actually, I'm trying to think of the context of it now, but you look at the whole gag,
Right.
and it's not her like suggesting it. It was almost like a flippant sort of throwaway line.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was almost like a fucking dream sequence type of thing. But it was done on a comedy show as well. This is where the issue becomes difficult for me, because everyone will straight away do whataboutery. Straight away.
Right.
They'll go, what about this?
Okay.
What about that? What about this? What about that? What about this? So everyone goes, well, what about Farage saying that if you don't do the Brexit that he wants, he will put on a pair of khakis, pick up a rifle and go fucking marching? Now, irony is that Farage was the first to say the police need to get involved with Joe Brand.
Right.
The second part of that is that Farage's defence for saying he would pick out a rifle and go on a fucking march is that he said it was a joke. Now the difference, of course, was that he said it during I'm not sure how you would describe stupid people talking podcast. It was like a fucking Q&A thing, where he gets asked questions, all of this.
Oh, was that his podcasting? What was it?
No, it wasn't a podcast. It was like a Q&A somewhere.
So he's got that podcast because who's the theme tunes for it? The band have complained and said they don't want him using it.
Not sure. I know he has his own LBC show. Ridiculous. But his was just like a Q&A, and he made this joke. Whereas Joe Brand was on a comedy show doing a comedy bit as a comedian.
Yeah.
And so people go, well, Farage did this. And then they'll also go, yeah, but what about Count Dankula?
Right, yeah, I hear you.
And this is straight away to go Count Dankula. And I made this point on Facebook, and I had to get a reply on it. No one has another example of free speech being taken away apart from Count Dankula, which means that he's become more anecdotal than an example. You see, well, this happened to him. He was done for gross offence. It wasn't right. You shouldn't have a court being involved in stuff like this to a level. However, none of these people who defend Count Dankula or anything else defend someone like Amjad Chowdhury. Now, Amjad Chowdhury just got out of prison a few months ago after being in prison for about 8 years, I think it is, for hate speech. Because he, his whole thing was telling people and trying to get people to join ISIS.
Right.
Now, he was put in prison for this, for hate speech, for trying to get people to join ISIS. Now, he was only talking. He wasn't handing out forms saying sign here, join. He was talking, saying words. It's just doing speeches. And none of these people who defend free speech seemingly are defending him. Now, whether it's because he's not white, could certainly be a part of it. Maybe it's because he's for ISIS, and people believe that there is a level, or those are unwilling to say it, because there is a level. On free speech, there has to be a level. The simple is fire. It's illegal to shout fire in a crowded auditorium.
Oh, right, I didn't know that.
Yes, because it's again, say if you shout fire and people get hurt and there's no fire, your speech has created a danger for people. The same as someone like Amjad Chowdhury. His talk and his speeches were trying to get people to join a terrorist organisation.
So what he did was wrong because he was trying to encourage people to enact acts of terrorism. But then in Farage's mind, if at the end of it he turned around and said, "Oh, I was only joking," then he shouldn't have had to do the time.
Yeah, then it's absolutely fine. We cannot compare Farage to Brand, and I don't think you compare fucking Brand to Count Dankula, because Count Dankula is not a fucking stand-up comic.
No.
I doubt he's done 5-minute open mic. This is it. He's a YouTube knobhead.
Yeah, but you got a lot of these YouTube stars nowadays that like,
I'm a comic.
Yeah,
no, you ain't, mate.
Yeah, look, so many people watch mine, and then they go and do a show, and then they sort of die on their ass because they got no stage ability.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Well, what is a comedian? Someone who earns money from comedy. Yes, certainly. But is a stand-up someone who does YouTube stuff and only does YouTube stuff and got famous off of that? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on this point. You know, maybe Count Dankula is a comedian.
And part-time UKIP candidate.
It's so strange because you only see it on these, because he's meant to be a liberal and all of these people claim to be liberals, but they go to UKIP and say, well, you never get to a point, if you call someone a racist and they seemingly become more racist, you never see it any other way. You never call someone a fucking tree hugger and 5 months down the line see him balls deep in a fucking oak. It's why? Why is it only on the right wing do people become more right wing? You never see anyone become more left wing.
No.
You never see that. You never say, "Oh, mate, you're such a lovely man," and they become nicer. Never happens. But if you say, "Oh, you're," like all these people say, "Oh, I get called Nazi all the time, so I'm just going to go around goose stepping." Like, that's not how it fucking works, mate. You know, you already were a fucking. If someone called you a racist, you say, "Well, I'm going to go start being racist." No, you're a racist to begin with. That's what happens. I was right. I was right to call you it.
Yeah. If someone called me racist, I'm not sure I'd get annoyed. I'd get confused because I just think, well, I'm not a racist. I have friends of many races from many backgrounds.
I wouldn't use that as a fucking retort. I think you'll find I'm not a racist. Some of my best friends.
Well, I say.
That's why I
didn't use that exact word.
No, you use a fucking Thor's version.
Oh yeah. Well, I like to get wordy. You know me. But the people that seem to take great offence that are being accused of racism are people that quite often are racist, or as you say, then go on to prove without a shadow of a doubt that accusation was reasonable in the first place.
Yes. Got a new story?
Yes.
We've got maybe about like 10 or 15 minutes.
This one I found very interesting. The Christchurch attacker, Brenton Tarrant, has pled not guilty to all charges.
Yeah.
How can you go into, well, I mean, it was mosques, but any place, well, how can you go anywhere, murder people, and then go, no, I'm not guilty?
He filmed it.
Yeah, he filmed it.
He filmed
He
it.
had a head-mounted camera,
Yeah.
went in and murdered these people, but now he's claimed not guilty.
Head-mounted camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he uses mountain bikers on me. I just thought, right, I'm going to go into a mosque instead. Jesus.
it's gonna be. I feel sorry for the lawyer. I really feel sorry. Like you're gonna go. Not. Oh, you're gonna go. Okay then. I'll say you said not guilty then. Let's go.
Yeah. Are you sure you can't defend yourself? I don't need the money. Are you sure you can't defend
Are
yourself?
they not going to show the footage then of him doing it?
Oh yeah, they're going to. Yeah, but during the.
Did he put it on YouTube?
If he says guilty, then you don't go for a trial
Right.
because he's admitted to it. There's no need for a trial. But not guilty, now you're going to have to go for a trial.
Even though he's definitely guilty.
Oh, he's definitely guilty.
But can they not just do the trial really quickly then?
He murdered 51 people.
Okay.
40
Wow.
counts of attempted murder and 1 terrorism charge.
Blimey.
I don't know how you can do all that and it's 1 terrorism charge, but
Well,
New
because
Zealand's deadliest peacetime mass shooting.
you can't do multitude of terrorist charges. It's just terrorist charge is a terrorist charge. You know, I assume it's for the period.
Blimey.
But it does, 51 deaths, 40 attempts, and just 1. It just makes it sound less than it is, really.
The fucking balls on the guy.
I know.
The sprouts on
The
him.
sprouts.
Yes.
The sprouts on him.
Oh no, these aren't sprouts. These are full-size cabbages.
Yes.
There's nothing mini about these ones.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to go away. The problem is that what he's done is doing not guilty. Is he is going to for all of the victims' families and everything. You're just leaving that. You're just reopening the wound.
I guess everyone's entitled. Well,
Everyone is entitled
to a trial.
Yes.
Even if they're even if they're definitely guilty,
Yes.
even if there's footage, even if everybody knows,
Yeah.
even if there were witnesses.
Yep.
Well, the law's a bit.
But it just seems to me. I mean,
It has to be like that. You have to give.
If he said that he's
trial.
guilty, that then makes everything a little bit more straightforward. To say that he's not guilty, they then have to prove guilt. Then that's going to be a bit more of a media circus around it,
Yes.
which will then give him the attention that he's clearly wants.
That's what I was
they're going to
thinking.
go back
If you're videoing yourself murdering people, you're not thinking, "Oh, I'm getting away with this."
No.
Yeah, they want people to go over his manifesto, which is called. Which all the papers were calling it a manifesto. Oh, he wrote this. It's not a manifesto, you know. It's the ramblings of a fucking madman.
What were his ramblings?
At one point, he said to subscribe to PewDiePie. As a YouTube personality.
All right.
I mean, a lot of it was the same. I don't really want to go into it too much because I don't want to give him the fucking oxygen. But his manifesto was the same far right ramblings that you'll find on the likes of 8chan and all of these online presences. Saying that it's not good for the white man and white genocide and all of this stuff. It's the same old shit, whilst using a lot of meme references and everything else that are used by the far right online.
Okay.
I mean, it was just fucking games and shit 101. It's just attention.
Yeah.
Right. So, do we have anything to plug? Or do we have any final thoughts for that first? Any final thoughts? I'd
like to hear what Matt has taken away with him from today.
Okay. I've enjoyed it. I don't know how I feel about super injunctions. I hope I have one at some point. Never going to mention Justin Bieber on a podcast again. And that's a promise. I'm a man of my word. I will keep that promise.
I like the way you've narrowed it down the podcast. That's.
But it was kind of worth it though, for the look on your face. The kind of
he has to be challenged occasionally. You've got to push him a little bit.
But usually you want to be challenged with someone's really well thought out opinions, and you can have a proper polemic. Not you're Justin Bieber. Oh, for fuck's sake! But it was great though. I listed it for fuck's sake, and I'm quite pleased by that.
I think it was very good. I mean, the thing is, Ashley, got both of us coming on today, and he thought, well, Gary might, come up with a few bits and pieces. Matt will come up with something good. Matt won't do anything to disappoint me or let me down. And you did, and that was wonderful. You really challenged him, you pushed him. He wasn't expecting that, and we all need little surprises.
We all need little surprises.
Do we have anything to, and now you can look into the camera, do you have anything to plug?
I'm not sure I want to look at the camera. I've managed to not do it for the entire hour.
Do you have anything to plug then?
Yes, I do. I'm doing an Edinburgh show, and it's called Broken Hooters and Geezers with Shooters.
Ooh.
It's in Edinburgh, yeah.
So what time and where?
It's at 10 to 7.
Nice time.
At the Underbelly in the Clover Room.
Cool.
So,
And don't you do your own podcast as well?
Oh yes, I do. Yes, of course. I forgot about that. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Do you mention Justin Bieber in that one?
Now.
Because you've already just made the pledge not to mention it on podcasts.
Right. Do you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to challenge Justin Bieber to a cage fight.
Nice.
That's what I'm going to do. But in the meantime,
He won't accept that unless you're 31 years older than him. Because he's 25, Tom Cruise is 56.
I'm not there yet. That's a shame. www.conversationswithcriminals.com. That's
cool.
That's
anything to?
Not a thing. I'm just happy to be here.
Fantastic. As always, I'll go through the news stories we can get round to. Sajid Javid has signed a request for Assange to be extradited to the US. So that's going over to the courts now. The Hong Kong protests over the new extradition laws that would allow for the first time for suspects to be extradited to mainland China has been suspended. So the protests actually work there.
I've got a bit of a question. When you're reading these out, am I allowed to look into the camera?
Yeah, you can do what you like now. The Hungarian government is moving to bring Hungary's umbrella scientific research organisations under government control, which is a continuation of their attempt to just authoritarian dictate the place all over. Nottingham Police have had to defend itself over its decision to give domestic abuse victims blunt knives to replace sharp objects so they don't get stabbed instead of bludgeoned by their abusers. Government ministers have vetoed an appointment of an expert to a public body after she was found to criticise the Home Office because the Home Office is scum. Good news, High Court of over in Botswana have decriminalised same-sex relations, so that's good. The Investigatory Powers Commission has said that large amounts of personal data handled by the MI5 were handled in an undoubtedly unlawful way, and Liberty, which is a civil rights organisation, are currently taking the MI5 to court over what they claim to be bulk data and a mass collection of data from innocent civilians. Oxfam have said that they cannot promise that there will be no more sex scandals, so that's going to be fun for season 2.
There's no material left, isn't you?
Yes, because I do material and then everyone else catches up. And a leading human rights campaigner is a co-owner of an Israeli cyber weapons company, where software is alleged to have been used by authoritarian regimes to spy on dissidents. Because if anyone tells you that they're all about freedoms, always check, because there's always a chance that they don't. Now, I want to thank my guests, Matt Price and Gary Shaw. As always, you can watch all of my stuff either on Next Up or ashleyhaden.bandcamp.com. Thanks, bye.